Alright, so in this video we're going to get into more depth as far as the appendicular skeleton goes. I said this is the clavicle, sternal end, acromial end, covered that in the last one. This is in turn the acromion, it's on the scapula. The whole thing's the scapula. So this is the acromion coracoid process where Bob's arm goes in, the humerus goes in right here. This is the glenoid cavity. As I come around on Bob's back, you can see this is his spine. This is the spine of the scapula. See how it's straight and rigid, just like a spine is nice and straight. Well, kind of straight, but you get the point. This is the spine of the scapula. Above the spine is this supraspinous fossa. Below the spine is the infraspinous fossa. And I believe that's all on the scapula. This is the pelvic girdle, this area right here. This is the pelvic inlet. From the right here to the left here is the inlet. If I were to go back behind Bob, from right here to right there is the pelvic outlet. I don't think I have that on your sheet, so if you're watching this with your sheet, you may want to write that down. I'm going to have you add that next week. Obturator foramen, we said that. Pubic symphysis, where you can kind of see the femur right here, where that fits in. This is going to be the acetabulum, okay? And the way I'll have this labeled on the quiz is I won't have it on Bob, right? I'll have this sitting out. So you need to be familiar with, I know, okay, obturator foramen is right here, and the socket, that's the acetabulum. This right here is the interpubic disc where it comes together. So you need to be able to distinguish those. All right, zooming out a little bit, right? You see these crest-like objects right here on the pubic bones or pelvic bones. This is the iliac crest right there. It's also called like the superior anterior iliac spine, iliac crest, iliac spine. Either one will work, but you need to know that. The top portion where the iliac crest is, this is the ilium of the pelvic bone. Right here where the pubic symphysis is and the obturator foramens, that is the pubis portion of the pelvis. Coming around the back where Bob sets his butt down on, the base of the obturator foramen, this is the ischium. So you might think your tushy for your ischium. You know, ischium, tushy, maybe, I don't know. So again, sacrum, coccyx, acetabulum, and that is all for the pelvic area. Okay, this is the humerus. It is Bob's arm, the upper portion of Bob's arm, right there, as you can see. We talked about how this was the head, right there. As I go over from the head, you can kind of see, let me focus it, two portions here. I've got one right here and one right here. One is bigger than the other. These are tubercles. Okay? When the bigger one, or tuberosities, I'm sorry, tuberosities. The bigger one is the greater tuberosity. The smaller one is the lesser tuberosity. So bigger is usually almost always greater. Let me get even closer so you can see that. See how that's bigger than that? Greater tuberosity, lesser tuberosity. Okay, and then let me come in real quick so you can see how long, just below the head of the, there we go, zoom, just below the head of the humerus, you see this little line right there where it kind of lines the portion. That actually stops the cartilage right there, and it does some other things with like synovial fluid and bursa sacs and whole 9 yards there, but that is the anatomical neck. And then just below that is the surgical neck. Alright, zooming out a little bit. This is the anterior view of the humerus. So like the ulna would fit in right here. If you were to place this kind of all together, and the radius would fit right there. And your hand would be open hand, or palmed open. You would be in anatomical position, hopefully that's a good view, you'd be like this. So if I were to place my arm up like that, that's how I would be from this view. Anatomical position. If you don't know what I'm talking about, look it up in your book. There's a great picture of it. In the anatomical position, I have condyles right here. These articulate the humerus with the ulna and the radius. The portion that the ulna goes on, let me zoom in a little bit. The portion that the ulna goes on, which is right here, is called the trochlea. Alright? The little notch that's cut out of the ulna, that is the trochlear notch, because it goes on the trochlea, just like that. The side that the radius goes on is called the capitulum. So I've got trochlea right here, capitulum right here. Okay, so those are my condyles right there. They have specific names. The one for the ulna is called the trochlea, and the one for the radius is called the capitulum. All right. My epicondyles. Epi means above. If something is epic, it's like, greater than just something that's cool, I guess, or if, I don't know, whatever analogy you want to use. Epi means above. So this is and you got to remember, this is Bob's right arm right here that we're playing around with. So Bob's midline would be right here. If I were to take this and just walk it over here to Bob, it would fit in just like that, right? So you can see Bob's sternum right there. That's his midline. Going towards the midline is considered medial. Going away is considered lateral. So this is the medial side of Bob's humerus. Therefore, it's called the medial epicondyle. Lateral side of Bob, the lateral epicondyle. If I turn Bob over, and this would be like where Bob's elbow is, the top of the ulna, you see U for ulna, the top of the ulna is called the olecranon, and it goes in this little fossa right there. Whenever you move the elbow, it does one of those numbers. So therefore, that's called the olecranon fossa. That's where your ulna is. If you've ever hit what's called your funny bone, there's an ulnar nerve that kind of innervates right there and gets that tingly, prickly sensation in your elbow. That's what it is. All right, so moving from the humerus to the ulna, I said the olecranon, trochlear notch. Let me kind of set it up a little bit here. As the ulna fits together like that, if you can imagine that, and the radius is right there. Let me just move these over now. They fit together with notches. If you can see that little notch right there, let me even bring it up a little bit and zoom it. You see that little notch right there? That is the radial notch of the ulna, and it's meant for the radius to go into, just like that. So it's the radial notch of the ulna, because it's on the ulna. Radial notch because it's for the radius. So radial notch of the ulna. There's one on the radius for the ulna also. You can kind of see it right there. You zoom on it. Alright, and the ulna just fits in just like that for it, and it's called the ulnar notch of the radius, right there. This would be like where your hand would be. Let me zoom out a little bit. You can see my hand would be right here, open palmed. You've put it together right and you have the notches lined up if you see these two little spikes right here on opposite sides of each other. These are called the styloid processes. This is the styloid process of the radius. See my radius right there? And of my ulna. This one right here is of my ulna. You can see my ulna right there. If it's on the ulna, it's the styloid process of the ulna. If it's on the radius, it's the styloid process of the radius. So those are your styloid processes. Other than that, you just have the head of the radius right here and the neck of the radius. I don't think I missed anything there. We did the pelvic bone. Femur. This whole thing is the femur. You can see if I take it up and put it up against my foot, there it is. Head of the femur, neck of the femur. Just lateral of the neck, right there, you have two little notches, just like you had two little notches on the humerus, right? They were tuberosities on the humerus. On the femur, though, they're trochanters. So the bigger one is the greater trochanter. The smaller one is the lesser trochanter. So just to show it again, right here, this bigger one right here, my pinky's hitting, that's the greater one, tilted in. The smaller one, my thumb's hitting, that's the lesser trochanter. Just like that. You'll find the greater trochanters a lot whenever you start to do intramuscular injections in nursing school, and they just expect you to know exactly what they're talking about and where it's at because of anatomy class. So really important that you get this now. Pardon me. Everything you're going to be learning in your prereq classes, especially anatomy, you're just going to be expected to know as common knowledge going forward day one in nursing school. So it's really important you learn this stuff. All right. I'm done preaching for now. All right, this is the head of the femur. It goes in to, this is the wrong pelvic bone, but you get the idea. It goes into the acetabulum right there. Right, so this is the midline of Bob right here. Let me zoom so it stops getting fuzzy. So this is Bob's midline right here. Therefore, this is medial because it's towards Bob's midline right here. This is going to be the medial condyle, lateral condyle. The epicondyles are just above it. Medial epicondyle, lateral epicondyle. Right? And that's basically all there is on the femur except for the patellar surface, which is right there, and that's what the patella goes on. This, if I go over to Bob, your kneecap, right there, that is your patella. All right. Going over to the tibia and fibula, they will look just like this. The fibula always goes on the outside. It's the outside portion of your ankle or the lateral side of your ankle. So this would be like Bob's, well, they're backwards. Yeah, right there. So this would be Bob's left, Bob's right. Sorry, I got an alert on my phone. This would be Bob's right shin, lower leg. Okay? Or Bob's right tibia and fibula. All right, so this would be Bob's right outer ankle, inner ankle, lateral ankle, medial ankle. Ankles are called malleus. So you have the lateral malleus, medial malleus. All right, on the top of the fibula, on the fibula you have, fibula is always the lateral malleus because it's always on the lateral side, right, the outside. On the opposite end of the ankle, the point there, that is the styloid process of the fibula. And they kind of look similar, right? So here's the way you distinguish between them. You pick up the fibula, and you look for, let me set this still so that it stops zooming. Let me turn that, let me hold it up maybe, it'll be a little better. There we go. On the side of the fibula, it has a little spot for a notch right there. There's only one side of it that has it. You can kind of see it right there. That's where it goes up against the tibia. The side that has that notch has the point where that is the styloid process of the fibula. If I turn this upside down, this is the other end, and I zoom in on it, this would actually be your ankle. You can see there's not really any smooth, easy grooves. It's all kind of rough and coarse right in there. There's no smooth groove. That's how you know that's your ankle side and that this is what goes up against your tibia. Let me show you that again so you can see. See that smooth little notch right there? That's fuzzy. There it is. See the smooth little notch right there? That's what you're looking for. That's how you know that the point on the left side there is the styloid process of the fibula. All right, on the tibia, and I'm about to run out of time, so I'm going to go ahead and make this part 1, and then we'll do a part 2.